Hi everyone! So today's video is all about being inspired by other YouTube and Instagram artists. So in particular, the colors for this cake was inspired by a card that I saw Amy Young Forever post on Instagram with a girl with beautiful strawberry blonde hair. This chocolate cake card is inspired by Kelly Latavola. She published a YouTube video showing how to make that amazing crumb in a chocolate cake about a week ago. And then the tile, I guess the tile counter and then the wood counter, I got inspired by a video that Sandy Alnock had posted maybe a week or two ago, just showing how to use perspective to create depth on a kitchen counter. And I couldn't quite get it following all of Sandy's videos, so then there's another YouTuber, I think Courtney Creever, who posted kind of a follow-up video to that showing in more detail how to do the perspective for the counter. So those are the four YouTuber or Instagrammers who inspired me to make these cards, and I kind of used techniques that I learned from them, then kind of put my own spin on it and kind of put everything together, and we get these cake cards here that I'm going to share with you today. And the stamp set that I'm using is the new Piece of Cake stamp set by Honeybee Stamps. It's a great stamp set with lots of sweet little images of cakes and candies and cupcakes and little cherries and strawberries. It's great for birthday cards, wedding cards, love themed or Valentine's Day cards. And I had a lot of fun using the images to create these three cards that I'm kind of sharing with you today. So here I'm just kind of drawing in my countertop using the lessons I learned from Sandy and from Courtney on perspective. And basically what I'm doing is just things that are farther in the distance. Those lines are going to be shorter and closer together, and then as the counter gets closer to us, those lines are going to kind of spread out a little bit. And then the other important thing I learned is that the center point, that center vertical line, you kind of keep even or straight, and then have the other vertical lines kind of go off on an angle on the sides. So that's what I learned about perspective this week. And I'm using the same colors that Sandy did in her video. This is the toaster, the Valentine's Day toaster video I think she posted about 2 weeks ago, and she uses C3 and C0 and C1 I think to make the tiles. Her tiles are much more beautiful and artful than mine. I'm still going to work at this. I want to be able to get the tiles to look more white as opposed to here they're just kind of brown, and it looks like whoever the contractor was didn't do such a good job because they look kind of lumpy and whatnot. And that's understandable because I've been really obsessed with drawing bricks lately that do have that texture, so I'm going to have to figure out this tile thing, but I will get there. All right, now we are going to draw in the baseboard for that kind of separates the counter from the wall, and I'm just using some little hearts in the Honeybee stamp set to kind of make a pretty pattern on the baseboard wall. And then I'm just adding a little bit of a shadow there, and I'm going to use a really dark cool gray marker here. I think this is, it might even be C10, either C9 or C10, and it's just because I wanted the baseboard to, you know, clearly define the break between the wall and the countertop. And so I'm just filling that in. So I started making these cards last night, which was Friday night. Now it's Saturday evening where I am. And I was watching a new show on Netflix called Russian Doll, which was amazing. Like normally I don't have a good attention span to sit and just watch a TV show or a movie without like doing something in the background, but I sat for the full like 4 hours that it took for the 8 episodes in the series to play, and I paid attention. So it was really good, and I think I'm going to watch it again once I finish this voiceover. But anyway, if you're looking for something interesting to watch, it's a good show. It's a little bit, it can be a little bit dark, but ultimately there's a happy ending. Don't want to say anything other than that. And if you're a child of the 90s, I wasn't exactly a child of the 90s, but I was young in the 90s, then you'll probably appreciate this. All right, so now getting back to the background. The style that I'm using for the background is I'm just doing a whole bunch of little squiggles in some light, like peachy and coral tones. And I kind of wanted to, what I was thinking of is that, you know, sometimes on a cake you get this like texture, the frosting can have like the texture that it looks like we have on the wall. And so that's really what inspired, I guess, the way that I did the wall. It's like, you know, you don't always have to blend your colors in straight so that they just kind of blend in, you know, smoothly one to the next. Sometimes you can also use texture in your backgrounds just to get some interest. And I think that I was able to accomplish that just by the way I applied my marker here to the background, just by kind of, you know, applying it in little swirls and using several different like peachy colors. So now I've removed the masks and I'm going to start coloring in the rest of the images on the page. And for the strawberries, I made the highlight with R12 and I kind of drew in the highlight first. You can make your highlight white also if you like, but I just wanted to use R12 for that. And then my other shades for the strawberry are R39, which is the darkest, R29, and R24. And I just kind of focus my darkest colors at the edges of the strawberry, and then I have my lighter colors kind of come in until they fade out into that little shine that's on the strawberry in the middle that we made with the R12. For the little stem on the strawberry, I'm going to use G9 and G28. And then I'm just going to go over the lighter part with a G3 just to lighten things up. For the cherries, I wanted the cherries to be a little bit of a different red than the strawberries. In fact, I wanted them to be kind of purpley. So we're going to use R56, R59, and then I think that was R43 that I pulled in for the little highlight on the strawberry. And again, you can make that highlight white if you like as well, but I just wanted to give it a little bit of color there. And also because I'm not courageous enough yet just to leave like white spots on my images. I will get there, but not there yet. For the cake, I am using exactly the technique that Kelly Latavola taught in her recent YouTube tutorial on this. So I just am using all of the E20s, and I started by applying a base of E21, and then I'm going to like just kind of make little dots with my E23 and then E25 and then E27 and then E29. Then I'm going to go backwards and go 27, 25, 23. And then I think I kind of do one swipe over everything at the end with an E21 just to blend it together a little bit more. And then that helps you get the texture for crumbs. So you can get this texture with any set of colors that are all kind of in the same range. So if you want to make like the cherry cake on that's on one of the cards that I showed at the beginning of this video, you would use RV11, RV13, RV32, RV34, and then also some RV, I think it was 99 for like the darkest shadow part of the crumb. If you wanted to make the red velvet cake, you would just use all the same reds that we used on the strawberries, and you would just kind of apply them in the same fashion we're doing with the chocolate cake. And you would just start with a base of your lightest color and then just add your little dots and just go lightest to darkest and then backwards from darkest to lightest. And then if it still looks like a bunch of dots and not a crumb, then you can go and just give a swipe with your lightest marker to try to blend everything out. For the frosting, we're going to use those same E20s, and the method I'm using here is I'm keeping it dark on the edges of the cake and between the layers, and then I want there to be a really, really light spot underneath the dark layer just to help to give the image some depth and to make it more realistic looking. And so I'm just going to keep doing my blend and doing my blend, and you have to be careful on the stamp because it's a really, really small area to get all of this blend going, but if you're careful, you can get there. I'm just putting a little shadow under the little strawberry and cherry that are sitting on top of the cake, And I think that just about does it. And at the end of this video, we are going to go back and add some white highlights with the white gel pen also. For the cake stand, we're going to use some toner grays, and I'm going to start with T2, which is one of my mid-tones. And then we're going to, the darkest shade we're going to use is T6. And then just filling in some T4. And then I'm going to kind of blend everything together again with the T2. And then I'm going to make it even lighter with a T0. So just kind of real basic shading here, I think, on my cake stand. If I do this cake stand again, I may try to make it a color like maybe a pink, or I don't know, like a peach, maybe even a turquoise. I think that could be nice. By the end of these 3 cards, I was kind of tired of making metal cake stands. But there's still different crumbs of cakes I want to make. Like I want to see if it's possible to make a funfetti cake with a whole bunch of different colors. If there's a way to do that without having the colors bleed into each other, I may practice that and see what I come up with. I'd like to try like a just straight up vanilla cake. Maybe like a more peachy cake than I've done. So we'll see. We'll see what types of cakes we come up with next. So I'm just adding my little highlights to my cherries and my strawberries. And I just added some little dots along the ruffles on that cake stand just to make it look a little less boring, because I do think just having it be metal made it a little bit boring. But we're almost done here. We're almost done applying our highlights. And for the cake, I made sure to leave a whole bunch of highlights in the frosting because we really do want it to be shiny. And one way to make it shiny is to add those little white highlights. And that's it for the coloring. Now I'm going to take off the masking tape and we get to pick which sentiment we're going to use. So for this one, I am using the sentiment that says, all you need is love and a piece of cake. And I'm going to emboss the word love with red wow embossing powder. And then the rest of the sentiment, I'm just going to stamp in black VersaFine ink. And then I am going to go over that with some clear embossing powder. And interestingly enough, the embossing powder that I use is the same container that I started with when I started making cards 2 years ago. And I still have it. Like it's maybe, you know, 2/3 of the way empty at this point, but it's still, you know, I'm still rocking and rolling with that same clear embossing powder, which was probably one of the first card making supplies that I bought a little over 2 years ago when I started. Now I have like, you know, the whole downstairs of my house is filled with card making supplies. So if it took me that long to get rid of the first thing I ever bought, then I can just imagine how long it's gonna take to get rid of the rest of the stuff that I've bought. And I'm sure lots of you out there are in the same predicament. So that's all I have for you today, everyone. I'd love to hear from you which of the cards you like the best and whether or not you're gonna give the piece of cake card a try. I hope everyone is having a great weekend. And if you're watching the Super Bowl Sunday, I hope your team wins. I don't even know who's playing, but I am gonna be watching because I want to see that Carrie Bradshaw and Big Lebowski commercial that everyone's been talking about. So I will see you again in the next video.